Hi everybody, this is Joel Kennedy with Kennedy Violins. So today is a video about trills. I'm going to teach you just a couple exercises to easily make your trills easier, more consistent, more efficient, and definitely a lot happier. So I see a lot of comments in the videos where people kind of complain about trills when they occur in a lot of the Suzuki pieces that I'm doing play-alongs for. So I thought I would just take the opportunity to teach you guys a couple really simple exercises to help you guys with your trills, and I'll offer some advice along the way to help them be physically easier for you. So one of the number one things that you need to remember about trills, or your left-handed in general, is the faster you play, the lighter your fingers need to be. I see sometimes some people will make videos about how to play fast or whatever. Well, the easy way to put it is that you need to have your hand relaxed. So the more relaxed your hand is, the faster you will be able to play. And when it's relaxed, you're generally not pushing really hard on the fingerboard. So your fingers get light, and you're just thinking about the tips of your fingers touching the string, okay? So in your mind, the faster you play, you're thinking about lightening those fingers up, and you're focusing on that tip of the finger touching that string. You're not thinking in your mind about this whole finger just going, right? You're just thinking about that tip of the finger just touching that string, okay? So when you minimize it in your mind like that, psychologically, trills, or just playing faster in general, is going to get a lot easier for you. Okay, so let's just talk about the first exercise. Okay, so the first exercise is pretty basic. However, it can get very difficult when you speed it up. So I don't know where your level is, but let's just say you're kind of a beginner and you really want to start, very, very slow. So I would suggest putting your metronome on 50, right? That's 50 beats a minute, a bit slower than most people's heart rate. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to play a G major scale with a certain pattern, okay? Now, the success that you have playing this exercise will depend on you paying attention to how you begin your trill and how you end your trill. So this isn't a rule just for this exercise. This is a rule that you must know for whenever you do trills. You need to know, what finger am I starting with? What finger am I ending with? This exercise is going to kind of teach you to be that organized about how you play trills. So I'll play a little bit and I'll explain a little bit. So. Okay, so a little bit later, I'll play the entire thing. So what you got to remember, now there's 2 beats per bow. 1, 2, 1, 2, okay? That's one thing to remember. The other thing is that you're changing your bow on the higher note of your trill. So if I'm playing open 1, the next bow is going to start with 1. If I'm playing 1, 2, then the next bow will start with a 2. If I'm playing 2, 3, then you start with a 3. You get it, right? Okay, so that's going up the scale, okay? Going down the scale, it'll be different. You're going to start the pattern with the higher note of the trill. So if I'm playing... right? You're always going to change the bow on the higher string. So if it's 3-2, start with a 3. If it's 2-1, start with a 2. If it's 1 open, you're going to start with the 1. Okay? So I'm going to speed up the metronome a little bit just for time. Okay, I'll put it on 60. Okay? But I wanted to point out, when you start this exercise, even if you play it slower than you think you can play it, you got to start teaching your mind to think ahead. Trust me, you're going to need it, because when you start getting this really fast, you're going to need to know what finger is going to be down when I change my bow. So you're thinking ahead to that finger. So 1, 2, 3, open, 1, 3, open, now going down, we're going to change the bow on the upper note. So 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 4. Okay, so not only is this a great preparatory exercise for trills, but it's also a fantastic warm-up. So if you're an older student, especially, right, you're like, 40 and above, 40, 50, 60, 70, some people are in their 80s, okay, and you have a hard time with being really stiff in your hand and getting warmed up, this is a great exercise for warming up your hand and not being in so much pain. So just remember that. Okay, so now you want to speed it up. So that was, we started at 50, then we went to 60. So I would suggest maybe going up by 5 increments. So 60 to 65, 70, 75, okay. But for giggles, I'm just going to put it on 70, okay? So here's 70. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so you get the idea. You just keep on speeding it up and see how fast you can get it where you don't mess up. And then once you start messing up, then back it off a little bit and practice a little bit lower speed for a while so it becomes really easy for you. Then get back up to that higher speed. Okay, so let's put it at 90, okay? 2, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4. So remember, I'm thinking about the next note that I'm going to start my bow change with. You always have to be thinking ahead, because once you start getting a lot faster, like here's like 110. Two, 3, okay, so on and so forth. Hard to talk and play at the same time, but you get the idea. So even when you're playing really slow, remember, think of the note that you're going to be changing your bow with. Okay, so that exercise is realistically good till about 120, 130. If you can do it at 120, 130, that's pretty darn good. Then you can start thinking about playing the next exercise. Now, you don't have to get this up to like 120 before we practice the next exercise, but you probably should be, I don't know, comfortably at 100 anyway before you practice the next exercise. I'll leave it up to you, but let's talk about the second exercise. Okay, so this exercise is where you full on trill, okay? So you're just gonna be trilling. So you're basically moving your finger as fast as you can in an organized manner, right? So that means that the distance between your up and down on your finger is pretty symmetrical, right? You should be in control, okay? So this is a real trill. Some people trill faster than others, but remember, the thing that will hold you back from your finger moving is tension in your left hand and not thinking about having these light fingers that just touch on the tip of your finger. Keep that in your mind psychologically and physically know that you need to have a relaxed hand. the better you get at this kind of mind-body control, the more successful you'll be at, well, playing the violin in general. Okay, so let's look at this first exercise. So this exercise is exactly the same as the first exercise, but you're doing a full trill. Now, you also have to remember that this exercise is teaching you to start with a certain note and end on a certain note. Okay, so you're going to be starting and ending on the note that you begin with. So if you're starting on open, you're ending on open. If you're starting on 1, you end on 1. Starting on 2, end on 2. Starting on 3, end on 3. Right? So most of the time when you're trilling in a piece, it's almost always like this. There are exceptions, especially with Bach. But as a general rule, when you start a trill, it's going to be starting with the lower note and ending on the lower note. Okay, so let's look at this. I got the metronome at 50, and you're going to be playing it again, 2 beats in a bow. So, and you're going to be holding out the note at the end to make sure that you really are ending on the right note. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so hopefully you get the idea. So remember, the most important aspect of this is that you begin and end on the same note, and you're in control. Now, you can speed this up as well. Now, that was 50, right? So you can speed it up, but not nearly as much as the last exercise. But speeding it up basically puts you in the smaller and smaller box, so you have to be a little bit more in control. So here's 60. Okay, so that's the general idea. So guys, I hope that this helped you with trills. And, don't forget to like and subscribe. But remember, everything with the violin is not something that you learn. I learned the violin today. No, I mean, it's a process. You don't learn vibrato in a day. You don't learn trills in a day. You don't learn spiccato in a day. You don't learn how to play in tune in a day, right? So there's nothing about the violin that you learn at a particular point of time, right? You simply learn about it, you practice it, and hopefully get better at it. So everything about the violin is a process. So as long as you stick with the process, you're systematic, you're patient, you have discipline, and you really pay attention to what you're doing, you will have success. You will be able to play everything that you want to play with enough of that kind of focused effort. So guys, I hope the video helped, and I hope you guys have a great time practicing. So I'll bid you adieu until next time, and I hope you guys have a great day.